Hey there guys, it's One True Griff here. I'm bringing you more COD 4 because I'm just going through everything that's possible. What's possible? Possible's not the word I'm looking for, that's not good grammar. I'm going through everything that's left on my hard drive. And this was one of the games that was, oh god, I don't even want to think about when this was from. This might have been from April. Kind of a long game. What was it? I think it was 10 minutes, something like that. You know, for COD 4, that's really quite long, especially for a normal Slayer game. As you can see, M40A3 ACOG, and I'm still able to get people at long range because the M40A3 is the best sniper rifle in the game. It's the most consistent, and with the ACOG, it just rapes. Now, I'm going to tell you about something that happened during this last week. Basically, on Friday I found out from a lad at uni I wasn't able to come in at parts during last week for the course, and on Friday one of the lads goes, "Oh, by the way, we've got a presentation to do on Tuesday." Now, I'm on an engineering course. There are going to be parts in my career choice where I'm going to have to give presentations because I'm going to have to be talking about things that I want to, you know, any designs that I want to make. I've got to sell the idea to certain people. So it's good practice for in future. And the only rule was that it couldn't be obscene or, you know, racist or anything like that. So, you know, right, oh, okay. What the fuck am I going to do it on? Now, I've done quite a bit in my life so far. In a way, I could have talked about this, or I could have talked about being a lifeguard at a leisure centre when I was younger. I could have talked about building computers. It was a good idea that I didn't, because there was another lad who did it, and it was really boring. I've done driving instructing for a couple of years, so I could have talked about that. I could have talked about coaching water polo or playing water polo at an international level. I could have talked about any of these things, but I couldn't quite decide what I was going to do it on. And I was talking to one of my friends who, you know, was asking me what I was going to do it on. I said, look, I don't know, I might do it on something really boring and give myself a challenge. He went like, what? So I thought, well, how about lettuce? Let me just talk about lettuce. And he goes, oh, I don't know, because lettuce can have bugs and stuff on it, and that could be quite interesting. So, alright, I'll get back to you later when I've decided what to do. Now, he was texting me all the while I was having a hospital appointment, so I couldn't actually speak to him on the phone. The second I walked out of the hospital, I got a phone call from him. He goes, right, I've got it, I know exactly what you should do it on. So, okay, well, what should I do it on? He goes, beavers. No one's gonna shoot him. So why the fuck would I do it on beavers? I'm on an engineering course. I know we can do it on anything, but how the hell is that relevant in any way? Why the hell do you want me to do it on beavers? He went, because I'm doing it on squirrels. That's a pretty logical argument, I suppose. So this is on the Monday. Oh, it's the day before the presentation. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon that I was basically told I was doing it on beavers. I then spent up until, well, I got home, and as you can probably imagine with a presentation due the next day, the first thing I did was went on the Xbox and played Halo. Now, the other thing I need to quickly tell you is that I wasn't in the greatest state of mind because Gaz had started working night shifts on the Monday, so the Sunday night I'd actually stayed up until about 5:30 in the morning, just sort of like keeping him company and try and help him reset his body clock. And then I had to be up for this hospital appointment, so I hadn't really had the best, you know, night's sleep, and therefore wasn't in the greatest frame of mind. Now, I could tell you what I actually did in the presentation, but you know, who do you really want to hear about beavers? Really? I mean, let's face it. You know, for most of the people out there, if they heard the term beaver, they think of something completely sexual innuendo, and it would just stymie the actual talk of beaverisms. I'll tell you one thing that I did learn: two types of beaver: North American beaver and the Eurasian beaver. And they can't, they were almost hunted to extinction, but they couldn't interbreed them. They couldn't create like a huge hybrid beaver. That's a hybrid beaver, not a hybrid in terms of, a Toyota Prius is a hybrid. You can't put a lithium-ion battery into a beaver, although that would be kind of cool. It would be like the Duracell bunny. It would just keep going and going and going, building dams and trees. So that would actually be quite a cool idea. The difference is they've got two different levels of chromosomes, apparently. The North American beaver has got 40, while the Eurasian beaver's got 48, so they couldn't interbreed. And that's like the main thing that I actually remembered from doing all this research on beavers. And I didn't even fucking talk about it. I made quite a few jokes. I got... The way the marking went was all the students actually did the marking as well as the lecturer, and no, his mark wasn't worth any more than the students. So that was good for me because I could play on, a sort of a comedy level. I could talk about things in a funny way. Like I managed to get hold of a picture of a beaver, completely sensible picture of the beaver, except it was sat down on its, so it was just had like its arse on the floor, but its tail, that long flat tail, was actually poking, flayed out straight in between his legs coming out the front, so it looked like something had stepped on its dick and made it flat. So I put pictures like that in just to keep it amusing. So, yeah, the marking scheme was... it was split into two categories. You had the content of it and the overall quality. The overall quality is more important, so once that mark was given out of 100, it was then going to be put in a spreadsheet and doubled. I know at least 3 or 4 people who gave me 100 for the quality of it, so that's 200 plus the actual content for it. So from the 10 people who actually did it on Tuesday, the general consensus from from my friends anyway, was that I was the most impressive one. I was the best one. Now, just to finish off, because I've only got about 2.5 minutes left, I'm actually going to explain to you why my friend came up with the idea of the beaver for me to do it on. Basically, I came up... I'm not going to take credit for this idea. My mate started using it, and it came from one of the most famous TV programmes ever, in Friends. What basically happened one day was I was talking to my friend, and he was telling me about how he got out of trouble with his missus, his girlfriend, who is now his wife. Like one day he was asked to take the bins around to the front for the garbage men to collect, and he was too busy playing on the Xbox or watching movies, and he completely forgot. He went outside for a cigarette later, and he was like, shit, I forgot to take the bins round, and she's going to be, she's literally just pulled onto the driveway now. What the fuck am I going to do? So he started off with this idea of he was going to use a badger. And so when she says, why haven't you taken the bins round the front? She went, there was this badger, right? And he was sat in the bins, and he went on and on, he just completely ad-libbed it. And she couldn't get mad at him because she was laughing so much. And I thought, well, this is an absolutely brilliant idea. This could get loads of people out of trouble. Now, you can't all just use the badger, because the badger would get a bad reputation. So I came up with the beaver, and I started doing it, and to get out of trouble with my mum and my sister, and when I just couldn't be arsed doing anything, the beaver came up, and I introduced it to my friend. One day I picked him up in the car, and I had a Legend of Zelda belt that I got out of a computer game magazine, and I kept saying that I would bring it and lend it, and he could have it, because it didn't fit me. And he went, oh, have you brought the Zelda belt? And I went, no. He went, why? So I was like, well, there was this beaver. And the way the kind of story went was, the beaver appeared, he had me at gunpoint, he was saying, right, you and me, we're going on the journey. So we jumped in the car, and I'm driving around, I'm like, well, where the fuck do you want us to go? He said, look, just head south for the minute, I'll tell you where to go. And he just, cocked the gun, and, I was a little bit afraid, because, you can't trust the beaver with a gun. And to cut a long story short, we got back from Colombia, and fortunately, our police services caught him. But he blamed the stash of drugs on me. I got, put into a back room and questioned, and things just went downhill from there. I told this story, and him and his girlfriend were pissing themselves laughing. So he remembered the beaver from that point on, and that's why I ended up doing a presentation on beavers. I hope you enjoyed what there was in the video. Like I said, 10 minutes long, so it was a bit long, but I hope you enjoyed the idea of the beavers, and I hope you take the beaver on board as well. Come up with your own, and it's a great way to get yourself out of trouble. This is One True Griff. I will see you soon.